Welcome back to FallingFoxGaming, everybody. I'm your host Blaine, and today we're picking up with some more Kenshi. We're going to put our normal game on pause for a moment because I actually want to talk about some more mods that I think everybody should use. So this episode is going to be 6 mods that everybody should use. Now, I'm going to start off right here because our first mod actually involves starting up new games. So the first mod I'm going to talk about is Game Starts Plus. Very simply, it adds a ton of new starts to the game. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one it adds because it adds like 15 different ones. But all I want to say is that if you are looking to play the game from a new perspective without having to try and play like the same 4 beginnings, start off in the same 4 or 5 general locations, give this mod a shot. So even if you don't want to go with one where, you use all this stuff, this allows you to start off in basically the Holy Nation areas, which some of the normal spawns don't allow you to do. So this is a good way to just basically start off in different locations throughout the world. The next mod I'm going to talk about is the Populated Cities mod. Quite simply, all it does is it adds a whole bunch more people into your world, and it makes them actually active in your world. They will buy goods from local stores, including your own. If you start up your own store, they will actually prioritize your store, which is actually really nice. And they will equip the items that they buy and use them to defend against bandits or just defend themselves in general and to kind of eat. So you actually get to see a larger population in your cities, and they actually do a lot more stuff. It's a fairly straightforward mod. You should just be able to jump into a new game. But if you have an old game, just import your old game and it'll work just fine. The next mod I want to talk about is one that I would consider actually essential for just about anybody that decides to build anything in the game. It's the Slopeless mod. Now, what the Slopeless mod does, it just takes away the slope requirement for any building. That's it. That's all it actually does. But it drastically changes how you can build things. Normally, if you want to build a building in this general area, you could actually only build kind of like right here. But because the Slopeless mod is installed, I can build it literally sideways on a cliffside if I wanted to. And most of the time, the pathing works just fine. So long as the angle that the people need to walk on isn't too steep, people will walk in just about any building without any problem whatsoever. The nav mesh is not messed up or anything like that because the nav mesh is tied to the building and not the game world. So for those of you that want to try and build in kind of strange locations, or in my case for our campaign that we're doing here, in kind of a cliffy area, this is an essential mod, Slopeless. Continue on using my world actually as an example. The next mod I want to talk about is the Reactive World mod. Now, this mod has a lot of different features, and I'm not going to cover them all. If you honestly care, you can just look up the mod because it is pretty in-depth what it can actually do. So essentially, the Reactive World mod means if you do things that are important or big in the game, for instance, in our game, we took down the Dust King. Now, in our world, the Dust King is dead. I don't actually know why. Oh, it's just because I imported a world, so he's back. But in my game, the Dust King is dead. So that means all of the dust bandits, the factions, will actually start fighting amongst themselves. The smaller groups will actually start expanding and stopping and building places such as old ruins and stuff and set up new bases. Now, as they do that, they will start warring amongst each other to try and get a new faction leader, a new Dust King. That's just one of the dozens of things the mod does. That's just a good example that I have personally for my game. If you are doing stuff in different parts of the world, don't worry. There's events for all over the world, depending on what you do. So if you are somebody that likes to actually get out and actually do some kind of what you'd consider important things, Reactive World mod is an essential for you. Along with getting on the world, another thing that's kind of important to me, along with like the Populated Cities mod that I mentioned earlier, is that the land between cities and towns seems to be pretty barren most of the time. So the next mod kind of fixes that. It's the Faction Caravan mod. Now this mod adds in what it says, Faction Caravans. So basically groups anywhere from 3 to 5 people up to 10, 15, 20 people that travel around the different cities throughout the world. They go anywhere from down here in the Sten Desert all the way up to the Great Desert. So if you want to be able to attack small caravans of an enemy faction, or if you want to travel with caravans for safety in dangerous areas, it's a fantastic mod to add. Most of the caravans you can even actually trade with and stuff, so it gives you a nice little kind of shop sometimes in the middle of nowhere when you weren't expecting one. The final mod I'm going to talk about, I don't have a good example to show you guys currently, but it's easy to explain, It's the Martial Arts Fast Dodger mod. And what that does is if you're playing a character that has a high martial arts skill, or they're not using a weapon just in general, it speeds up the animation for dodging by a roughly 40%, I think it is. And what that means is that a character that has high martial arts is not going to be dodge locked, where they don't ever get to attack because they're too busy dodging all the time, because the dodge animation is so slow. Now, this is probably the one controversial mod in my opinion, because it does technically make martial arts better. So if you are struggling with martial arts in general in your game, or if the balance seems off already, it may inflate that and make it worse. But in general, if you use any of the other balancing mods, or if you just, kind of keep an eye out for things that seem to be broken, you will never have an issue. I have about 70 hours in this general playthrough and another playthrough, and I've used this mod in both of them, and I've had no balance issues whatsoever. But it does make it to where you can have martial arts characters that can actually compete in the battlefield without being broken. If you are playing as a single character, it's another really good mod, because if you get robbed or something and you lose your weapon, you can still actually defend yourself. So once more, just to kind of cover them again in kind of brief overview, is the Game Starts Plus mod, which adds just a whole bunch of new starts all around the world to give you some kind of more flavor. The Populated Cities mod, which adds a whole bunch more people to the cities and has them buying stuff, using stuff, and doing more things to kind of make your world more immersive. The Slopeless mod, which allows you to build effectively anywhere as long as you can get to the entrance. The Reactive World mod, which allows you to kill people and do stuff, and the world will react to you based on, a missing target or a high priority person being gone. The faction Caravans, which does just that, adds them throughout the city or throughout the world. And then the Martial Arts Fast Dodger mod. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this, please do me a huge favor. Leave a like and subscribe, or comment down below if there's any mods that you would like to see me talk about, or if there's any that you'd like to actually see me cover more in depth. Or if you just think my list is wrong, tell me down in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I want to thank you guys for watching. This is FallingFoxGaming. I am Blaine. I'll see you next time.